Thank you so much. Yeah, last time I was here, I sort of set the bar up by doing jumping jacks in a hoodie that had lights on it, and so Rosenthal said, you got to do something better than that, so we'll see what happens. Tell you a little bit about the Bot Studio. It's just gotten underway. We're talking about we're looking into bots of all sorts. Is that, oh, not that one?
That one still. Just needed it.
Oh, okay, oh, got it. Looking at bots of all sorts, we're looking into bots software basically that you can type with, right? So chat and text. Software that you can talk with, like my friend Alexa here. Hi, Alexa. Alexa, hi.
Hello.
Okay, good. She's there. That's going to be important. We're also experimenting with artificial intelligence. And a lot of what's behind the bot boom is AI, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And we're also, in the Bot Studio, developing tools and learnings for you. We have a grant from the Knight Foundation to do exactly that. So we're going to, this is not just for Quartz to learn how to do this, it's for Quartz to learn how to do it and then share it with you. So we're going to be doing that coming up too. Throughout the entire project, too. So let's just talk a little bit about what we're doing here, and let's do this with an experiment. Okay, so anybody have a cell phone? Does anybody have a cell phone? Okay, take out your cell phones and text hi to this phone number. Okay? I have a time limit here, so you guys got to do this quickly. All right. So get going on that. And if it's working, you should have the little texting coming back to you. Is it working? Yeah. Anybody? Yes? Yeah. Okay. It won't go long, but what you're going to experience is a very super simple bot, right? Based on the answers to the questions, and I know they're very complicated questions. I hope you get through them. It will come up with a different answer. We experimented with things like this at WNYC when I worked there. This is a very, very simple bot that is designed to react to you in a slightly different way depending on what you text. So at Quartz, it's as has been mentioned a couple of times in the presentations today, we are pretty experienced with conversational interfaces. The app that you download for Quartz is just a conversational interface. There's no headlines to click. There are no links like that. It's this, where you have a text-based interface. If you haven't seen it yet, this is what you get. And we have a lot of personality in there, too. So it's not just the conversational interface. It's also the use of animated GIFs and emoji and amazing smart writing. This is not a bot. This is a whole bunch of people writing for the app every day, and that's what's being served up. And those people have a lot of personality and bring a flair to the coverage. This was during the presidential campaign, and it said at the start, "Good afternoon. Hey, what's Donald Trump been up to?" And one of the buttons you could click was, "Okay, I'll take the bait." And it went into a whole series of things that Donald Trump did that day. And at the end, this is this whole thing about knowing about David Duke and the Ku Klux Klan. And then here, the options that you had were, "Okay, is that it?" Or, "Seriously, stop." And that's the kind of flair and fun that the writers play with. Here, though, you'll notice you can't actually converse with this app. And this is an important point. Through a lot of experimenting, the folks who built the app came up with this notion of having two choices. But what if you had more than just two choices? There have been lots of experiments now with Facebook bots and other things, and we're absolutely doing that now too. This is a mock-up of a Facebook experiment that we've been working on, and here at the bottom is an open white box. What will people say? What would you say? What would you ask? We're starting to get a sense of exactly that. A lot of it is not very useful. So we're trying to figure out how best to do that. As was mentioned too, the Facebook F8 conference announced a lot of interesting ways that we might be able to play with that white box. So we're looking into that. Okay. Again, all of our learnings we're going to share with you all. All right. So let's talk about voice interfaces. So I have my friend Alexa. Alexa, load cat facts.
Here's your cat fact. The life expectancy of cats has nearly doubled since 1930, from 8 to 16 years. Meow.
Okay. So a little bit of personality there, right? And information. There's a lot of challenges that you run into when you're making experiments and journalism and information services for voice interface. For one thing, there's nothing to browse here. You can't just sort of look through things. That's kind of challenging. And despite the meow, which I really love, that's kind of why basically my daughter goes back to cat facts every day, because there's a little bit of personality. Alexa, load Quartz demonstration.
Hi, John. How are you today?
Good.
Oh, great. Would you like to hear about today's news?
Sure.
Are you sure about that? Because it's pretty depressing.
Okay, no.
Okay. Talk to you later. And goodbye all of you other humans in the room, too.
So if your news app is more like that, maybe you'll want to come back the next day. So we're experimenting a lot with our personality, trying to figure out how to bring some of the flair and great writing that is in the app into our voice interfaces. Okay. I don't have to play the movies because it worked. Yay. Okay. So quickly on AI. I want to talk a little bit about AI. You've probably heard a lot about it. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, the ability of machines to do thinking for us. This also is not new. There's been a lot of work in artificial intelligence for many years. What is new is, especially for you as journalists, is that it's much more accessible now. All right? So I equate this to Google Maps. Not very long ago, you may remember that putting a map in a newspaper or on a website took a $10,000 software package and a lot of data from various parts of the world. In fact, how would you ever have all of the world's data on your computer? It would have been almost impossible, except Google has it, right? And now we can just use a couple of lines of code and we can put a map of anywhere in the world. This is basically what's happening with AI right now. Here's a picture I took from in front of the Quartz building in Manhattan. If I simply upload this to the Google Vision API, I get this. If you can't read it, it says car, vehicle, road, lane, city, urban area. The Google artificial intelligence engine behind this has just identified what this picture is about, right? This is amazing. It's super cool. But the coolest part about it is that it's accessible for almost free. As a matter of fact, if you're not hitting it frequently, it is free. And this comes back as code that you can use in your own applications. This is not even just something that you can do with landscapes. You can do it with people, too. Google Vision API says that this picture is very possibly about joy. And you can see it's recognized her facial features. Unlikely sorrow, anger, surprise. Also unlikely headwear, which is kind of a mistake because there's headwear there. So, but since you can just send a photo to this service, you don't have to have the whole engine on your computer, just like you didn't have to have the whole world on your computer, right? So then what could you do with something like this? I decided to make a little experiment. Actually, Jake, is he here? Could you put the lights up a little bit? All right, so this is a Raspberry Pi. It's a very simple $35 computer. On it, I've put, it's got a little camera on it. And I'm going to walk over to my friend Robert here. Look up. I'm taking his picture. OK. So now this is going to the Google API, if it works. If the light goes out, OK, then it's gone up. then what could you do with that? What could you do with that? What does it say? Alexa, load latest picture. Oops, that's not the command. Alexa, stop.
I wasn't able to understand the question.
Yes, I
heard.
know. Alexa, load latest photograph.
The words I would use to describe what I see are audience and speech.
Okay. Audience and speech. It didn't say anything very much about our friend Robert here, but it did recognize that this is an audience and maybe that you guys are listening to a speech. That is kind of crazy. This is a $35 computer. You don't need access to that whole library at Google on your computer. You can access it through the API. Lastly, I'll just talk about the fact that we are developing journalism tools. So these are not just audience-facing tools. These are things for you. We're going to get them into Slack because most of you, I suspect, are using Slack. A lot of the US and world journalism population is using Slack. So we're going to put those tools into Slack and make them also available for you, and that will be likely in this fall. If you're interested, drop us a note at bots@qz.com. And that's all. We'll talk more.